My name is Jonathan Wales. I'm a re-recording mixer, and most recently I mixed Midnight Mass for Netflix for Mike Flanagan, and in my time mixed Get Out, Memento, a whole bunch of things over the years, and have worked through a bunch of technological transitions in the process. What I enjoy the most about mixing is ultimately that we are telling stories and that we get to enhance the story telling with what we're doing. I think one of the most important things when you're listening for monitors is that you're not actually listening for monitors. You're listening for a level of understanding of the project that you're working on, the sound that you're hearing. Everything we do in post is about translation. It's about, I'm working in here and I need it to sound the same if I show up at an enormous room at Warner Brothers, or if I show up at Netflix in a screening room. I need it to sound exactly the same. I need to understand what I've got. And that demands a level of reproduction that is extremely accurate, but also extremely predictable. I'm looking for monitors that can handle the dynamic range requirements of movies and the types of content that we're producing these days. When you're working on things that involve things like gunshots and stuff like that, the dynamic range, it isn't just about getting loud. It's about getting loud but being in control. And it's strange because if you're not in control of the dynamics, the whole sound field falls apart very quickly. You can get loud, but it also gets very muddled. So I'm looking for monitors that are tight, that are giving me exactly what I've got, with no embellishment and also with nothing taken away, so that I can really understand what have I got in the track and what do I need to do to it in order to make it really sound great. In here, I have IB2s on the front, and all of the surround speakers are CI30s. And that's actually kind of interesting because, the CI30s are like one of the smaller speakers that PMC actually makes. And you'd think, oh, well, those don't really go well together. But it's weird because that's one of the strange things I found about working with PMC, is that all of their speakers actually sound shockingly the same. Even when your brain tells you, well, how can a speaker that's like 4 inches deep and, like a foot square, how can that sound comparable to a speaker that's, that weighs 100 pounds? And it does, and I have no idea how it does, but it does. And, when you're working in Atmos, one of the key concepts in Atmos is that you need to be able to move a sound around the room and have it not change. It needs to sound the same, because that way in real life, obviously, if I have a sound here or I have a sound there, by definition it's the same. And that needs to be the same in the way we reproduce it, even though the speakers may be not exactly the same speakers. And that's one of the things that I'm able to get from PMC. There's something they do with the voicing of the speakers that just makes them sound the same. And when I'm moving something around the room, I don't feel like it's changing, even when it's moving, around me or up above me or anything like that. That's very important. Setting up the PMCs was insanely easy, partly because this room was already working in Atmos with different speakers. So some aspect of it was literally just changing speakers. But one of the things that was really impressive to me about the way the PMCs work is that they really want to take care of the whole package. Like the IB2s, they come with their own amps. You hook it up, you plug a cable in, and that's how the speaker is supposed to work and sound. The CI30s, I was able to work with my existing Crown amps, plug a cable in, and you're off and running. I was actually shocked by how little work it took to set the room up, compared with everything else. And also, I think one of the very relevant things here is that when it comes to working on a room with speakers, you want to do as little as possible to the speakers. You want to listen to the signal through the speakers the way that it is, and the better the speakers are, the less work you have to do in order to make them work in the room. And I definitely feel like it was much easier to integrate the PMCs into this room than it had been in the past. My PMC's greatest contribution to my creative process is that they get out of the way. It means that I'm not sitting there trying to second guess, well, is this working? Is this translating on these speakers or whatever? It just means that I know that whatever I'm hearing is correct, and that way I can get on with fixing what I'm hearing to try and turn it into what I feel like it should sound like. The effect of that is I can work faster, and I can work with a lot less I don't want to say effort's the wrong word, but there's a sort of fatigue that comes in. If your brain is not quite sure whether what it's hearing is right, then you keep on trying and you want to push it, and you see like, oh, well, maybe that's too far, maybe that's not far enough, and you start going in these, you're sort of circling the drain on each of these individual decisions to try and like push it, to try and see like, well, is that right? Is that wrong? And what I find in this case is like, no, I don't have that problem. I just know. As soon as I hear it, I know it's right or I know it's wrong, and I just move on. And that is, it's not only quicker, but it's a lot less effort. I think for me, what I've realized about PMC is that as a company, they sort of think the same way I do, which is to say that what matters is the result, and what you go through to get that result is just necessary. I think I've met some of the smartest people on the planet, and I think I've met some of the most dedicated people on the planet. And I think, anybody that cares enough about the experience of listening to a monitoring system as PMC do, it seems like it's inevitable that makes sense, that it should connect up with, people like us who want to create entertainment, that wants to tell great stories, because of course it should. Passion is what really communicates in human endeavor. If I'm passionate about what I do, if I put my emotion and my energy into what I'm doing, then I'm hoping that the audience can get some of that through the stories. And I feel like, PMC as a company are passionate about giving us tools that really take that capability to the next level, and that's what we have.